Hey everyone, today's video is about my Bali trip, and so I just wanted to give you some details. I will have some clips for some of the things that I'm going to talk about, and hopefully you find this video helpful. So first of all, I actually flew to Bali from Manila, so I was already vacationing in the Philippines. So we went and we flew Cebu Pacific from Manila to Bali. Now, I did do a video about my trip to Bohol from Manila, and so check that one out too. But we also rode Cebu Pacific for Bohol, and it was delayed going there and coming back. Now, the flight to Bali, though, was on time, which really surprised me. But then again, our trip was at 3 a.m., so that probably is why. I'm trying to remember if they weighed our bags. I want to say they did not weigh our bags that were backpacks, but they did, of course, weigh your check-in. And for Bohol, they were weighing bags at security, but for this Bali flight, they didn't weigh bags at security, even if you had a roller. But again, that could be different experience when you go, so just keep in mind, I feel like Cebu Pacific does weigh your carry-ons if it's a roller, and if it's a backpack, it seemed like they just let that through. Boarding. So boarding in Cebu Pacific when we took the Bohol was very chaotic, and for Bali it was a little bit more organized. They did call sections, but people, you know, of course there are people who didn't go by their sections, so it was again a tiny bit more organized, probably because it was international flight versus domestic, but it still was a little bit chaotic. Now, arriving at the Bali Airport, and it's super beautiful. Now, we got there at 7 a.m., so it was pretty dead. There was no lines for anything. So as soon as you get off, the first thing you do is you get your visa. Now, you have two options. You can get a visa online prior to going, which I didn't do. I had read a bunch of posts saying that it was just easier to get it upon arrival. And for me, it definitely was, because again, there were no lines. So I think it's really dependent on your time of arrival. So again, we got there at 7 a.m., no lines at all. There was maybe one person in front of me that was in the visa line, and all the other lines too were completely empty. It seemed like it was really just our plane. So after getting our visas, then you go into another line for customs. And again, that one was super short. It went really fast. And I apologize, I can't remember when we had to give our QR code. So you did have to prior do a customs QR code. And I think it was either at the customs counter or directly afterwards before you went to baggage, then you had to get your QR code scanned. After customs, you did have to put whatever, your purse, your carry-on through a belt, like a security belt, before you went and got your luggage. So this is a quick clip of the airport. That's facing where the visas are. And then on the other side here, when I pan around, is where customs ends. But you'll see it's just a beautiful airport. And again, lines were very short. And this is just a super quick clip of the baggage claim area. So after getting your luggage, the airport again is super pretty, and there's a ton of stuff right after you get out of baggage claim. There are several money exchange. They all seem to have the same rate. The rate is not as good as other money exchanges outside, but I had read that there were so many scams that you had to find the right money exchange, like a legit one, to make sure that you wouldn't get scammed for doing a money exchange. And I just didn't want to deal with that. I was willing to take the hit of getting a worse exchange rate, so I just exchanged at the airport. Now, I will say I probably exchanged too much money, and they take credit card in tons of places. So I would probably just be a little conservative on how much you exchange, and then exchange later if you need to more cash. Now, the denominations for the money in Bali is crazy. You know, it's like things cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Meals cost millions if you were in a group. So just get used to that. Having to count up that much money was a little bit hard at first, and trying to figure out things that I needed to pay for. But my US dollars went a long way. That, you know, things were very cheap in Bali. And again, just like any place, you can go as expensive as you want or as cheap as you want. Now, drivers. So the drivers wait outside for you. I arranged for a driver for pickup at the airport. I did a lot of research on forums and things like that for recommended drivers. And so I would suggest that if you want a driver, to do that, because I feel like it's just easier to have something arranged once you got there. I will put a link to the driver that I used, who was really, really great. He actually didn't make it to our pickup, but arranged for somebody else to pick us up. He was really nice. So it just went really smooth, and it's fairly inexpensive. I think I paid $350,000 to get picked up. And I think that was like, you'll have to do the conversion for your currency, but I want to say it was like $30 or something like that. And then I also hired the same driver for the next 2 days for a full day of touring us around. And that was, I want to say, $600,000. So it was still like $40 or something. So very well worth it. And all of the drivers there were super friendly, because again, we had a different driver picking us up, and we actually had a different driver dropping us off due to some prior engagements that my driver had. But he took care of it all. He, you know, got us another person, and they were really great people. And so it was really good. Again, I'll put a link to my driver. The drivers there, I learned, I believe, do get some sort of commission for taking you to certain places. So keep that in mind. Now, I will say though, if you don't want to go somewhere, then the drivers won't take you there if you don't want to go somewhere, which is totally fine. I also felt like doing a ton of stuff in one day was not for me. So I know a lot of people do like so many excursions. We only actually did like 2 things a day and took our time, and that was plenty. And I was honestly exhausted by the end of the day anyway. So real quick here too, driving out of the airport, Bali, the first impression is it's a beautiful, beautiful place. They have statues in the streets everywhere that you go, like driving down, and they're beautiful, huge statues to look at. So I thought that was really cool. So I want to insert, here is one of the statues really quick. I know that was fast, but that you see on the roads. We couldn't check into our Airbnb at first, so we ended up finding close by. So we did stay at Ubud, our first part of our trip. I highly recommend going there. There's a ton of things to do, and it's just beautiful out there. And so when we got to the Ubud area, which is a fairly long drive, it's like 45 minutes to an hour from the airport, we couldn't check into our Airbnb, so we found this restaurant, which was really cool. And I did find out there was a couple of them like this, but they were like these little cottages out in the water. I'll put a clip here so that you can look here. Again, prices were really good. And I think that going there at night would have been a really cool experience too, and probably would have been even more beautiful than what we saw during the daytime. So here's a quick clip of the restaurant I'm talking about. So you eat in these little huts here that are over the water, and then there's fish in the water too. Just a really pretty place. Now, our Airbnb, which I'll put a full clip and tour of our Airbnb, just a couple of things to mention. I will put a link to our Airbnb. This particular person that's on there has tons and tons of Airbnbs in Bali and all over, mostly I think in the Ubud area, but all over. our Airbnb was beautiful, but there were a couple of things that I want to point out. Is the street to get in was super tight. Only one car could go in and out, and so it was really difficult if you encountered another car, because they would have to try and pull over somewhere so that you could get through, or vice versa. There was no food options close by. I mean, you could walk down to the main street, and it was probably, I don't know, quarter to a half a mile, which isn't a bad walk, but sometimes in the heat, or if it was nighttime, there really wasn't any lights to be able to walk down there. We did do Gojek to get food one time, and that worked out well. There is one restaurant right next to the Airbnb, and the food was not that great. It was convenient that it was like this restaurant that was right next door if we needed something, but again, the food wasn't that great, and it sucked that that was like our only close option. There were some other restaurants like down the street if you wanted to walk before you got to the main street. We didn't try any of those, again, because I didn't want to walk at night with no lights on this road. The other thing too is, although the Airbnb was so beautiful, it didn't have a view of anything. I did see some listings where they had like rice field views, and I think that would have been better. I would do that. And because of the location maybe and the trees, our pool was like really not in the sun too much, and so the water was freezing. Even though it was so hot out, like the water was too freezing for me personally to enjoy the water because it was that cold. So I would pick like an Airbnb where your pool is not shaded at all, so that you can enjoy somewhat of a warm pool. But watch this clip here. I'll give you a tour of this Airbnb. I believe that all of the Airbnbs from this person are just as beautiful. So check that out. All right, here is a walkthrough of our villa. So there's like a row of villas that this person has on this street. And this is where you walk in to your villa. And it's just beautiful. This one has 3 bedrooms. Here is the pool area. Here's the kitchen area, which is separated. And, you know, you have a fridge, you have filtered water, a stove, a kettle, of course, a sink, and then it has all the utensils that you need, and the pots and pans and all those things that you would need, and cups, of course. This is the eating area here, and then this is the living room area with TV, and then access to like Netflix and things like that. This is the first bedroom. So again, there's 3 bedrooms in a row. They all pretty much have the same setup. This first one has 2 twins. They all have a TV. And again, the bathrooms look exactly the same, with the separated toilet area, and then a sink area, and then a shower. And the shower comes with body wash, shampoo, and conditioner. This is the second room, which did have the iron and ironing board for the place. So again, just the same exact setup. There's also hand soap there and a hair dryer that's available. Now, I will say there wasn't really much of a view. I think I mentioned that earlier of, you know, you only had a view of like some trees. I do have a clip of a rice field that was nearby, that if you had a rice field view, I just think it would be beautiful. And again, there's the pool. There's this area, like this little deck area, where it had like this couch and some loungers. I will say the couch had tons of ants, so we didn't get to use it. And again, here's like our non-view of just trees. And I think the trees just really made the water cold because not a lot of sun was hitting our pool. So I would recommend like a more open Airbnb if you could find one. And this is the last room. This one is at the end. There is safes in each one of the rooms and plugs next to the beds. This one actually, since it was at the end, did have like this window in the shower, so you could open up the window if you wanted to, and you'll see it right there. But again, same layout, and it just was a beautiful place, but I would recommend trying to get one with a better view. I have this clip here you'll see in a second. It was the restaurant nearby. Behind them, they had this beautiful rice field, and I just think that would be a much better view if you were staying at an Airbnb in Ubud, where this is normally the view. I forgot to mention that you can also have your butler that comes with your villa like make food for you, or even do a floating breakfast. So those are really nice touches to these Airbnbs. Now, excursions, again, I didn't want to do too much in one day. So the first day, all we did was first we went to do some ATVs. There are several options on where you can do ATVs. I just went with where my driver wanted us to go, which I'll try and get the name of the place, because I will be honest, although they were super friendly, it was a beautiful place, I personally did not like the trail. Now, if you want a challenging trail, this one is for you, but I thought it was just so challenging that I couldn't even really enjoy the scenery because I was so focused on making sure I was safe on the trail. And another thing to note that's really important is my brakes were not working, which was the scariest thing ever, because I didn't think to check my brakes before we left. I just assumed that they have done all of that work. And the trail was so challenging that the first extremely steep hill that we went on is when I found out my brakes weren't working. And, I was freaking out because I was, trying to squeeze on my brakes so hard and nothing was happening. And so luckily I was in a group and there were people in front of me. And so I rammed right into the person in front of me. And that's the only way that I stopped. They did get me a new bike, but again, just like that ruined the experience for me because it was so scary that, I was scared of all the other hills that we had to go down. And again, it's just a difficult trail. We also had some of our ATVs overheat, so they had to get new ones for that. So it just, I don't know if that's the experience with other ATV places, but that's the experience we got on this one. There may have been some other trails available also at this place, but I think they choose for you based on who's in your group. If they think that you can do it, if you have little kids, they'll probably take you on an easier trail maybe. And at the end, it's a beautiful jungle scenery. You go through a cave, that was really cool. But at the end, the only kind of water that you go through is this big mud puddle, and that was it. After you're done with the ATVs, they did have a really nice shower area. This ATV also provided boots for use, and they called them special socks, which were just plastic bags that you could put on your feet, so that you didn't have to wear these boots that everybody else was wearing if you didn't have socks with you. And then again, the shower area was really nice. And then after you were done showering, then they provided you with a lunch, and it was just noodles and rice, or noodles or rice, and then some meat or something like that. So you had to choose before you went on the tour, and then it was ready for you when you got back. All right, I just wanted to put a couple clips in here of the terrain so that you can kind of get an idea. I do think it's just a trail that is for people who have already ridden ATVs in the past, just because of the steep hills you have to encounter there. I know I don't have any video of it, but it's really steep. You do go through this short little water here, which I forgot to mention, and then through the cave that I did mention. It's a very short, but it is dark in there. And then you come out, and the last thing you do is just go through this big puddle, and that was the end of it. The second place we went to was this coffee and tea tasting place where they have the famous, and again, I'll put in some clips here, Luwak coffee where these animals poop out the coffee beans and they make this coffee from it, and it's like the most expensive coffee in the world. That place I had not originally wanted to go to, but I will say I was really glad we did. My driver recommended it. It was free to get in, of course, because, you know, they want you to buy some coffee or tea on the way out. But when you go in, they do just this short tour. One person will take you and your group around and talk about the different beans and things like that and how they make the coffee. And then they take you out to this area with tables, and it's overlooking this amazing view. Like it was so beautiful that just seeing that view was so worth going there. But they also gave you like this tray, and again I'll put some clips here of different coffees and different teas that you could taste, and that was free. And so that was pretty cool. We did end up buying some coffee and tea because some of those were just so yummy. And again, it's a free place. I highly recommend that you stop there for sure. So this was the amazing view that you got, which again, I highly recommend going here. And then we opted to buy the poop coffee, and they made it for us. So this is them making it for us. And then just a quick picture of the sample teas and coffees that you get for free. And then lastly on that day, we went to the monkey forest. Again, I'll put some clips in here. A lot of people are a little bit like scared going in there. I will say I was a little bit, but you really just have to be careful and actually follow the rules in there and you'll be fine. I did see some people who were trying to pick up the monkeys and the monkeys scratched them. I don't know why you would try and pick up, because they have like mothers with little babies and things like that. I also saw one person where a monkey was like grabbing this woman's pants, and the man she was with was trying to scare that monkey away. And the workers there were like, don't do that because they'll call their friends and then you're in trouble. So the best thing to do, they said, is to just walk away and start walking, even though they're maybe grabbing your pants or whatever. As soon as you start walking, they will stop. The thing too is with your backpacks and your bags, if you have one and you unzip one, the monkeys notice and they'll come and try and snatch things out of there. I also saw some monkeys jump on people's backpacks and try and open the zippers, and they were successful. So have some locks on your backpacks or carry your backpacks on your front. I just didn't really carry anything in there except maybe a fanny in front of me, so that wouldn't happen. So, and just, you know, just common sense, just be really careful. They are wild animals. And so it is very cool in there though, seeing all these monkeys. And I really liked the experience. You just need to be careful and not get too close like some people were. Here's some clips of the monkeys that you can find inside. It's kind of sad. This guy's like eating something that he shouldn't be, from that he probably stole off one of the people. But there's just a ton of monkeys everywhere. Again, just be aware, you know, like this one has her baby with her, and so don't mess with the babies, because you just don't know what the monkeys will do. And then here's just a cute clip of this little baby monkey here. So okay, so the second day we went to a place called Pura Tirta Empul temple. And that was my most favorite experience. Again, I have some really great clips of that place. I highly recommend going there. You go in there, it's a beautiful temple, and then you have the option of doing like this ceremony in there, and we did it. So when you go in there, you have to be covered. I was wearing a tank top and I didn't have to cover my shoulders or anything. But probably out of respect, if you want to, you should probably wear like a t-shirt. But they do provide you with a sarong, both men and women, and that's free, so that you can even get into the temple because your legs have to be covered. And then again, you have this option to participate in this ceremony. They have these green like robe sarongs that you can rent, and I think it was only 20,000 rupiah, which is like $1 or something like that, so very cheap. So you get that. They provide lockers and they have a changing room, and so you get into this outfit. women were wearing swimsuits there that I think that if they planned to do it, then they knew and they would just wear their swimsuits underneath it. Some people weren't, but I will say you do have to get in the water, and you're like, it's like a green, again, you'll see it in the clip, it would like float up in the water. So if you were just wearing, you know, normal underwear, you had to be really careful and like keep it like tucked in your legs or something so that it wouldn't rise up and then end up showing, you know, your underwear and all that stuff. But anyway, so you change into that, and then you go and you get like the little offerings. They're like flowers with an incense, and you do a little wish or prayer. And then you fall in line to go into this purification water where they have all these spouts, and you're supposed to go into each spout and make like a prayer or a wish, and then wash your face 3 times, and then put your head under the water. So again, watch the clip. It's a really cool experience. I highly recommend it. And then after you're done with that, you know, you go back, you get your stuff from the locker. The lockers, by the way, I think maybe it was 50,000 to rent the robes, and then 20 for a locker, which I'll verify and I'll put the information in the description. But afterwards, they did have a big, huge goldfish pond, which was really cool. You could feed them, and they would like super go crazy. I can't remember how much it was to buy the fish food though. I think it's very, very inexpensive. Actually, our driver bought it for us, so I don't even know. My driver even actually bought the offerings that you have to use when you do the ceremony. And, you know, I just tipped him a bunch afterwards for doing all of that. So this is us doing our little prayer, wishing here before we had to go to the actual water purification. So here is the water purification. You have like a line of different ones, and you would just line up and wait till your turn, and you would again put your head under each one of them and wash your face. And then at the end here, they just had this pond of goldfish, which was kind of fun to feed them. So the second thing we did that day was we went to Creyta, which is like a day club where you can go swimming, and they have a restaurant, and then they have beautiful rice fields, and then that's where you can do like the Bali swing and all of that stuff. Now the pool there, and look it up, I'll put the link. We didn't even go in it because it was so crowded that I couldn't imagine even enjoying the pool. It was beautiful though. So if you were staying there for the entire day or whatever, you can reserve some of their beds and things like that are next to the pool ahead of time. You just have a minimum food spend. And the food there was really good as well. So we ate there, and it was, again, I think 50,000 to get in, so really cheap. Your drivers, by the way, they get in with you for free if you want to take them in with you for some things. Like the monkey forest, it was nice to have our driver kind of walk us around. The ATV, they came and rode with like our guides and took video and pictures of us the whole time, so that was really cool. And so at the rice fields here at Creyta, they were so pretty. It was such a beautiful scenery. I would highly recommend going there. I know there are other rice terraces. We didn't get to go to any of the other ones. We just went to this one. And then you can, again, go on different swings. So they have like single swings, double swings, and then they do offer taking a video for you and taking some pictures for you, and those turned out really great. And you can rent those really long dresses that you see in a lot of the Instagram pictures. I will say I did see a sign that said that it was extra for you to bring in your own dress. So, I mean, I don't know if you were wearing your dress. Would they know that that was the dress you wanted to wear for pictures? I don't really know how that works. And they didn't allow any, like, food or drinks for you to bring into there. So if you had a bottled water, they confiscated it when you entered the place. So this was the pool area, and it doesn't look that crowded in this video, but it was so crowded that I couldn't imagine enjoying it, honestly. But you'll see the rice fields in the background. And again, they have these statues and these rice fields that you can walk around. It's super beautiful. Okay, so for our last night, we actually moved out of our Airbnb. We went into, I think it's Dennis Bar, which is a town closer to the airport. I wanted to be really close to the airport, not an hour out, because the traffic in Bali is really bad, and I didn't want to have to stress about getting to the airport in time with being an hour away and possibly hitting some crazy traffic. So we stayed at this hotel called Bintang Bali Resort, which I have tons of video. I'll put that in there as well. It was a cheaper hotel, but at like an older 4-star. So definitely an older hotel, but I thought it was fine. So it was right on the beach, and the food there, we ate at like one of the restaurants. It was not good at all. The breakfast buffet, which I do have clips of that as well, I didn't think was that great. I mean, it was pretty big, but I didn't really like it. But for dinner, we actually walked just a little bit down, maybe 2 minutes, and there was this other hotel that was super nice, newer hotel, and had really, really great food, and like it was right on the beach to eat, and so, or a view of the beach anyway. And so we ate there, and so I highly recommend if you go to this hotel, then go to the hotel next door to eat. But yeah, it was nice. It was probably like 5 to 10 minutes to the airport, so that was really nice and convenient. So this is the entrance to the hotel where you get dropped off and they can hold your luggage. And then over here is the lobby where you check in. So it's fairly pretty. This is the pool area, which it had a very large pool, so that was nice. And there's a restaurant back here as well. And then right behind the pool is the beach area, which again is a really pretty beach. It's nice to be on the beach as well. Here's a tour of the room real quick. So we had connecting rooms. This is the bathroom, which is standard bathroom. Comes with soap and some toiletries here. Shampoo, body lotion, and shower caps, and then some toothbrushes. And then the shower area with some more toiletries inside. And then, of course, the toilet with the bidet area here for luggage and some closets. This closet had an umbrella in it. And then the other side had a safe, which I couldn't figure out how to use, unfortunately. And then this room here does have the king size, which was actually 2 twins pushed together, you can tell. And then a TV, of course. It has a balcony area, which is nice. Has the small fridge and a kettle. And then again, just this little balcony area with 2 chairs. And we were connecting with a room that had 2 twin beds. And again, just the same thing, an area for luggage, the 2 closets, one with the safe in it, the other with the umbrella, and then the same kind of bathroom here with the toilet and the shower with the different toiletries. And then this room also, of course, had a balcony as well. And the same fridge with the kettle. The breakfast buffet, I was not impressed. I mean, there was a lot of selection, but not a lot of breakfast food, I will say. So you'll see here the bread station. There was a lot of I would say lunch kind of food, and also the way that it was set up was a little weird. They had this station here, they had another station by it, and then outside of this, in a separate area, was where they made omelets and they had some eggs. And then there was yet another area which was separated that had like soup and things like that. So just wasn't my favorite buffet. I just didn't like, there wasn't really much that I liked to eat. So hopefully you can pause this video and kind of see the different name tags there of the different foods that are available. This last clip here is the other station that I saw on my way out again. So again, in a separate area where you could make some noodles and do things like that. And then they had some other foods available in this area. And then going home, I don't think you need like a full, I think they recommended 2 to 3 hours to get for your flight, even if it was international. When you got there wasn't really any signs about like which counter was going to be my airlines. I had to ask somebody and they were like, oh yeah, after this airline's done, then your airline will be at this counter next. It probably would have been on the reader boards, but we were so early that it just wasn't there yet. So we flew Ava home from Bali to Seattle. They did not weigh any carry-ons at all, whether it was a roller, a backpack, or anything. They only weighed your check-in, and we had roller bags and they didn't weigh them at all, and they didn't ask anything about our backpacks. So just a quick clip of the check-in area again. There wasn't a place for me to know. The reader boards weren't updated because we were super early, but it is nice and pretty in there and pretty organized. And then once you got through after check-in, just like any other airport, there was tons of places to eat and shop and things like that while you waited for your airline. So anyway, I hope that helps. Quick summary of my trip to Bali, and I hope you enjoy my clips. If you have any questions at all, put them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. And thanks for watching. Bye.